seems your heart just needs a fresh start.
Great brands and thought leaders don't build authority by trying to win over algorithms. They build it through meaningful conversations and stories that get translated into multiple formats and touchpoints. So just like Red Bull isn't just a drink, it's a global media empire that started with inspiring conversations across high-energy touchpoints. Online brands turn long-form interview content into blog content, socials, and email series to build authority and trust across platforms. And it all starts by simply having a conversation. That's exactly what I do with my content studio Sunny Chapter. We start with a conversation, an interview, a real exchange of thoughts and ideas right here with me. Not a script, not you performing on camera. It's just you talking about your story, what you know, what you teach. And then we turn that conversation into content that builds credibility and trust for you online, quietly, consistently, and with integrity. So if showing up online has ever felt icky, forced, or not really like you, then this is the method you've been waiting for. If that sounds like you, please do reach out to me at mel@sunnychapter.com. By the way, all the playbooks and frameworks we share here for you on Mama What's Next, we send them to you through our newsletter each week. So if you'd like to learn more, please do sign up. The link is in the show notes. Hello, it's Melanie here. And in this episode, I want to explore the role of visibility in career reinvention and business reinvention. Because when you're building something new in your career or as a female founder in your business, being seen in the right way can open doors for you. It can build trust and it helps your next chapter take shape. So, the role of visibility in career reinvention. Well, visibility is often a necessary act of self-leadership, really to ensure that your skills and your experience are not just valued, they are actually recognized by others. So when we now think of authentic visibility in your workplace or in your business, it's not so much about being loud in front of people and taking up space. It's about sharing your expertise and your message so that you can turn that visibility into impact, which can strengthen your brand or career profile in your company. Well, unfortunately, often particularly introverted people fear how others will react to them, to what they say when they become visible, when they speak up, which often limits their opportunities. So overcoming this is crucial for establishing a new professional identity. And I have my very own professional story when it comes to that because I have been that exact person. I already had to push myself really, really hard when I was young in my teenage years. And some people might know that story about the ketchup and the restaurant when I was 14, 15 years old. And I was out with my family and I was so shy and scared to speak up in front of people that I didn't even want to ask the waiter for ketchup. And instead of support me, my family laughed, which made matters even worse. It took me quite a few years to dig myself out of that hole, but I was determined to overcome that shyness and ended up pushing myself into the promoter space and promoted events and products, services, had some pretty cool jobs in the end. And I did really, really well in that arena, I have to say. But I would have never known if I didn't take that very first step. And it's just the same in your workplace. So for me, when I built my career, I was always one of the quiet ones. I really valued, doing a great job and improving things. And I worked really hard to get somewhere. But when it came to visibility and presenting in front of people and speaking up in meetings, that was a really hard, difficult thing for me to do. Now, before we get into the research, I want to stop quickly on what visibility really does. It's not just about being seen more online or at work. It's also about creating the kind of presence that helps people feel safe enough to pay attention to you and start to trust you and remember you when they need someone like you, which, equally at work is the case as much as when you're starting to build your business and you're promoting your services and products. And this is where the research now gets really interesting, because visibility is a self-marketing tool, but it's also really deeply connected to how people build trust and feel safety and decide who they want to work with. So often, however, people, and that includes me, choose to remain invisible in their jobs because they feel the need to protect themselves. And that was certainly the case for me for a very, very long time in my career. And every time I had the chance to stand in front of people and be seen by more important people or by the right kind of people, I found a way to sneak out. A lack of visibility, however, doesn't offer protection. It just slows you down on your career path. And it slowed me down on my career path. I want to talk about something that comes up for so many of us: the tension between wanting to be seen for our work and the deep discomfort that shows up when we imagine actually being seen. And maybe you're really great at what you do and you care really deeply about what you do and who you help. You're very thoughtful and you'd rather have a real conversation than perform for people, in front of people, or post constantly online to be seen. And yet, you've been told that to grow, you need to be louder, you need to be visible, you need to be more on, constantly post, do more, be bolder, be louder. So today I want to talk about something different, a way of being seen that doesn't ask you to lose yourself in the process. But first, let's have a look at the research. Research on vulnerability, shyness, and visibility tells us something really important. When people feel safe, when they're not being pushed into a performance or into a space where they feel they have to perform, they show up more clearly, more honestly. They share their real stories and they speak from their heart. They speak from real experience. They let their guard down and they let their values show. And when they do, other people start to notice and they begin to trust. So, in hiring, in client work, or in collaboration with people, people tend to choose the person they know and understand. So, that's not necessarily the most qualified person they've ever met, but it's the person they know and trust, or come to trust. That's just how humans work. So when your work is visible in a way that feels true to you, people start to understand what you do. They feel aligned with it. The right people feel alignment with it. They remember you when they need someone like you. And yes, they are more likely to pay you, hire you, or refer you. So visibility done in a way that fits who you are, that feels safe, is simply a bridge between your work and the people who need it. However, visibility done wrong connects nobody to nothing. Many thoughtful women I've met tell themselves, this is not for me. I can't do this. I feel really uncomfortable doing this. Maybe it's just not in the cards for me. I'm just too quiet. This isn't the right path for me. I'll never be good at being visible and doing this in front of a camera. But what I have seen and what the research also shows is that your natural way of communicating is a real strength. People who think deeply, introverted people, they listen well and speak with care, are often the most trusted. Words that come from genuine experience and reflection land differently than performance or hype. And in work, that matters. In coaching, in consulting, in creative work, care work, people often choose the person who sounds clear, grounded, and true, and honest, and real. You don't have to become someone bolder, louder, or more performative so that people see you. Your slower, more honest, more considered way of speaking is a gift to people. The question isn't how do I become more like the people who love the spotlight? The question is much more how do I create a visibility practice, a visibility strategy that fits who I already am. So you don't need to post every day to be visible, that your colleagues see what you do, that your potential clients see what you do. What I've seen work deeply for thoughtful, introverted women is an honest conversation, a real, true, brave conversation about your work that can become the foundation of your visibility. And it can be visibility, mean visibility for weeks. When you talk about who you help, what you help them do or feel, why this work matters to you, and what it feels like to work with you, that conversation can become a part in your about page. It can become a few LinkedIn posts that talk about your work. It can become short quotes or social video clips that sound exactly like you. And it's a simple way to explain your work and what matters to you. So you can use it again and again, timeless, and it can create some sort of online business visibility card, essentially. Clarity creates trust, and trust creates connection with people. Connection creates opportunities, and all of that can start just with one conversation instead of performing. So here's a small little practice you can try on your own, and you don't need anything special. I just call this a one brave conversation practice. Find some quiet space where you feel calm and peaceful. You open your notebook, take a pen, and you take 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, and you write down your answers to these 3 questions. And then you can speak them out loud as if you're talking to a friend. Who do you help? What do you help them do or feel? And why does this work matter to you? You don't have to try to be perfect. You don't have to sound like all these other loud, bold people out there. You just have to write down what comes to mind, essentially, and what you feel when you think about that. And then you read it out loud to see what you've written down and how that sounds. You can even do that a couple of times. So you'll likely notice clear sentences that can shape your bio. You'll notice some phrases you can use in some of your posts and a simpler way to talk about your work. So that's your very first step. Research on psychological safety and authenticity shows that When people feel safe, they open up more. They share more honestly and build trust more naturally. Neuroscience also shows that calm voices, relaxed faces, and steady gestures act as a social safety cue that help people feel open and connected. So, this research essentially supports the idea that a real conversation creates safety. And safety is what lets people be more open and genuine. So you just stay you. You don't become someone else. You're not shaping yourself into a role, into a performance. And that's a much better fit for your message than talking about as a camera performance, because it shifts the focus to how people actually connect. So in conversation, people respond to safety. They respond to a calm voice, to a real presence, and a feeling of being met with care and kindness can help people open up in ways performance never can. So if you'd like to do this kind of work in a more supported, gentle way, I created something to help you step into your own sunny chapter. It's one calm recorded conversation with me. And in that conversation, we talk about your work, we talk about your journey, we talk about why that work matters to you and the people who need what you offer them and what they walk away with. And it feels really easy and natural. And then I take that real conversation and turn it into a clearer way to talk about your work, maybe a little part of your about page on your website that sounds like you because they're actually your words, not AI. We just use AI to shape the structure a little bit. It's simple content, social clips, video clips, quotes, copy for newsletters that you can use for several weeks. So this is the opposite of performance, of pressure. It's just you in a conversation, but being seen and heard in the most natural, authentic way. Similar to a podcast interview, really. So if that sounds like something you'd like to try, that would help you get started. You can find out more on sunnychapter.com. And if you're not quite ready yet, if you're not quite there yet, you can still try the One Brave Conversation practice on your own just to get started. So you don't have to be loud to be seen. You just have to be clear, honest, and brave enough to let your real work be visible as it is. So thank you so much for being here today with me. I really enjoyed this, and I'm so glad you're here and taking these first steps. Let's keep moving gently towards that kind of visibility that feels right for you. So until next week, goodbye. Thank you so much for listening today. It's been a joy sharing this episode with you. And just before you go, if this episode was very valuable to you, and if you think a friend or a family member could benefit from listening to this too, please do send it to your friend, your sister, your colleague, the woman you know who's trying to build work that actually fits her life. And if this show and Mama Was Next has been a part of your world for a while, or you've listened to this episode and thought, man, that's been actually quite helpful, then I would be so happy if you are subscribing and if you leave us a review. This is the most generous way to support me and anyone that's helping to create this show and this edit. And it helps this conversation reach more women who need permission to build work and businesses differently. Thank you for being here. Really, thank you for being here and listening. I really appreciate you. Have a beautiful week. Bye.